Hi, I'm Christiana Gaudet, and I'm here with more answers to your questions about tarot. I have a really fun one today. It's actually a series of questions, and it comes to me from Steve, otherwise known as Prince Lenormand. Steve is a reader, and he is a daily tarot blogger. You can check out his tarot blog right here. He has been working with the cards since 1998, and he's been a professional reader. Here are his questions. How important do you think it is to keep a note of all your personal readings? I enjoy writing my blog, but I've tried over and over and over to keep a paper journal without success. Do you have any tips at doing so? Is this something you have done or do yourself? Okay, well, if you've read my book, Tarot Tour Guide, you know that I am an advocate of the tarot journal. Whether it's a notebook, whether it's a file on your computer, in my mind, doesn't matter. But I think writing about the cards is important, and Steve, you're doing that with your blog. I think that when you first start reading tarot, writing about the cards, how you feel about the cards, writing about the readings that you do, recording the readings you do so you can go back and see how the cards speak to you. I think that's very important for the beginning student. Once you are really familiar with the cards, once you are a reader, I still think it's important that you write about the cards. But whether it's done daily, whether it's a record of your readings or not, whether it's in a notebook on paper, whether it's on a blog, whether it's for public consumption or just for you personally, none of that matters. I really believe that the best tarot readers are tarot writers, but how you choose to do that is completely up to you. However, if you're a new tarot student, which of course you, Steve, are not, but new tarot students, I think, should keep a record of their readings. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Oh, this is a really good one too. How important is it to stick with just one deck? Do you think that chopping and changing either helps or hinders our potential as readers? Wow, once again, very personal. I will tell you that I chop and change quite a bit. I'm sitting at my desk right now where I do most of my phone and Skype readings, and let's see, what do I have at hand's reach? I have Legacy of the Divine. I have Shadowscapes. I have Universal Weight. And I have Gaudet. Now, obviously, I own many more than that, but those are the ones that are just here that I could grab to do a reading with right now. So I chop and change even over the course of a day. Not every reader does that. I know some readers who have been working with the same deck for 30 years, and that's what works for them. Some readers really interpret different decks differently or get different messages from different cards. Some readers don't. This is very, very personal. It's up to you. One thing you might notice, though, if you look at the 4 decks that I happen to have on hand right now, they all have a very similar tradition. They're all much more weight than they are Crowley, Marseille, or any other tradition. So for me, I tend to keep within the same tradition and work with a lot of decks within that tradition. Everyone does it differently. It is entirely up to you. I will tell you that I have some decks that I use for professional reading, some decks that I'm more comfortable just collecting, some decks that I'll use for personal readings or for specific kinds of readings. Now, on my webcast, Christiana Psychic Cafe, I had Beth Henry as a guest, and she does great YouTube videos as well. She feels that different decks are good for different kinds of readings, like you might use Lover's Path Tarot for a reading about romance. You might use Ghosts and Spirits Tarot for a reading to connect with those who have passed on. I think that's a great theory. I think that it's a great idea. It works very well. It's not really how I do things. So part of finding your tarot voice, as Beth Henry would say, is all about figuring out what works for you. There really aren't a lot of right or wrong ways. I think you have to experiment. Now, one thing that's really interesting, the person who wrote to me, Steve, he's been struggling with these questions. And I wonder, Steve, if your struggle comes from a belief that there is a right way and wondering what that right way is. The right way for you, Steve, is the way that works the best, what feels most comfortable for you, and that may change over time. I've been working with the cards for more than 20 years, professionally for more than 20 years even, and the way I work now is different than the way I worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You'll grow over time. You'll change over time. Be willing to let that happen. Let your relationship be with the cards be the way a relationship with a person is. You know, think about a friend that you've had in your life for many years. That relationship has changed over time, but the relationship is made stronger by all the time you've spent together. Let your relationship with the cards be that way. Steve, Prince Lenormand, I want to thank you so much for some really great questions. I enjoy your blog very much, and I wish you a great deal of success. And if you have a question about tarot, please send me an email.